She had never owned an RV. They've never gone camping as a family and everything. And so I just one day said to her, and the kids were sitting around, and I said, I got this crazy idea. What would you think of going and traveling for a year in an RV?
The both of you have been adventurers, wanderers, whatever you want to call it, right? You've done your own, right? For you. You've gone through it. You got it out of your system. But now the two of you are together. And, you know, in everything that we do, we were just talking about it, there are like norms. Okay, so you worked on a cruise ship. Okay, good. You saw the world. Good. You went and did this. Good. Okay, so now settle down, right? Like, is the feeling, like, what does settle down? The feeling that I have kind of grown up with was like, get your roots or something, like get rooted. And it's like, rooted into what? And so, you know, that's because that's where you now start actually, the idea is roots means growth, right? Like growth this way. You can't have this kind of growth if the roots aren't stable. And that's the science, right? That's a science or some kind of theory. And so when I started thinking about the two of you, I was like, wait, this is not that. This is, and how we were meeting and we were talking is at an event where I know for a fact this guy has a job, is working somewhere for a company. Well, how do you do that? And this. And you still feel like you must be feeling like you're growing in some way. You have to have this feeling as you go, you know, through time. Oh, wait, and you have kids, and they're teenagers? Like, what? So then I was like...
They still like you?
And a dog.
Yeah, and a dog. But my point is that you had already started, you already got it. Let's just say if it was, you'd already got it out of your system that I wandered. Now I should, like, settle down and build a family. And you did start that way. That's the point. You did actually start that way. And it's not like it was a problem. You weren't unhappy. It wasn't like dysfunctional, right? Let's just say to the extent what is normal, functional or dysfunctional level, that's everywhere.
Yeah.
Why I'm saying this is like you were already on a path of not doing this anymore. You were doing it for a while already like this. So when that starts happening, we start building blocks around this, right? To bring stability to our children, to do these things for yourselves. So, since you had already started on this way, was it something that you had always had in the back of your head that we're going to go do this? Because you said the idea was percolating for a while. So did you always have this in the back of your head? Or did you start when the two of you guys as a family unit, the two of you now, just the two of you, and you're saying, okay, we're going to start our life and we're going to settle down in Ontario. And I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do that, back to teaching, say, right? Because you were getting into being a librarian teacher. And so that's how you started, right? Like it was going to be, you talked about being on land. That's the idea, right? So you're in this one place. So that's how you started, right? That was not the plan to go RVing. Or was it? That's my question.
No,
Never.
it was really never the plan until it was the plan.
Right?
So
it was the original plan.
We were happy. We were raising our kids. The kids were, you know, in certain programs and like just living our little white picket fence kind of life, working hard, doing the things.
We both had a 5-minute commute to work, like the perfect situation.
Oh, yeah.
She was 5 minutes from her school where she taught. I was 5 minutes from the office.
For a while.
Right?
In the house.
Like what reason? Why
Great
would you want
neighbors.
to? You know, if it ain't broke, you don't have to fix it. They say.
I feel
So
like
it wasn't. There's nothing broken about
Enter
it.
James Daigle, crazy ideas.
So who came? Whose idea? So then now that you're on to that and you're on like a few years of living this way, and you're doing well. You're working hard. You know. So then. Like, what was the
quite a
first
few
conversation
years.
like?
It's not like these seasons are not just like these little blips and real seasons, but the season in our life would be from like when we settled in Ontario again and tried to get roots. It was around 2005, but then we bought our home in Newmarket in 2006. 7.
Okay.
So from that period of time, fast forward to 20. When did you plant the seed? It was
just prior to COVID.
the lockdowns, like
So
prior
that's 12
to COVID.
years.
Yeah. So like,
How did the idea come
had
back up in your
baseball,
head?
Mia had her.
YouTube. I saw somebody doing it.
Seriously?
I seen somebody doing it, and I've always changed. And we talked about this in the past. When I see something new that that looks interesting, let's explore that. What would it take to do that? So I was following a few families online, unknown to her and my kids.
Okay.
So I was following some kids, some families that had kids that were traveling in an RV. And I grew up around camping, where my family camped in the summer.
Sure.
Until I was probably about 10 years old. I guess that stopped. But she had never camped. She had never owned an RV. They'd never gone camping as a family.
Right.
And everything. And so I just one day said to her, and the kids were sitting around, and I said, I got this crazy idea. What would you think of going and traveling for a year in an RV?
But before you said that to her, you'd been following for a while.
Yeah, for a little while.
When did you decide? Like, what made you decide? Okay, today I'm going to say it.
So to be honest, it wasn't even the family in the RV. There's a family world renowned now called the Bucket List family.
Okay.
And they're one of the most famous families that have a following. And I was actually following them, and they don't travel in an RV. They travel all around the world with their kids. And so I was following them because they were doing some really cool stuff, and I was consuming their content. But because of the algorithms and everything, I started to see some other families.
Okay.
Like there was a family called Trying Something New. That was their handle. So I started following them. And then there was another one called Changing Lanes. And I started following them. And so I was seeing that was a retired couple. This was another family and Trying Something New. Actually, Sandy, because we've now met them and we know them now. But like I work with someone with green hair. She has a pink mohawk and she's out RVing with this pink. So it just caught my attention.
Got it.
I started to consume, and then I showed the Bucket List family to my kids, and I was like, look what these kids are doing. And I started showing them the Bucket List family first, not intentionally showing them, they were really cool family to follow.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what planted the seed in my head and started to plant the seed in their head.
Mm-hmm.
So you'd never been on RVing or camping or anything. And so
No,
Jimmy
not at all.
one day, here's a coffee. I don't know how he sets it up, but he must have a way.
I just sitting in the rocking chair and said, check this family out. Look at these crazy people.
I think it was like
What was your reaction?
he presented this question like, could you see yourself traveling in an RV together for if we tried this for a year? And I
Give the honest answer what you said.
Yeah, right.
okay. I said,
do
are
we
you
have to censor?
actually
No, we don't have to.
crazy? Like, do you even
You
know
said
who
this?
your wife is? Do you know me? Because, and I've said this so many times to so many people, people know that I love nature. I love being outdoors. I'm outdoors a lot. I love hiking. I love beaches. I love mountain. Like, I love it all. But to live in a camper, we've never camped together. We had never camped together. And normally, I don't know. Normally, because we talked about reality and what's acceptable behavior. Normally, people start with a small travel trailer that they maybe take on the weekends to places.
Yes.
And then they upgrade.
Yeah.
But not for us. We just,
Just
sold
dive in on the
everything
deep
and
end.
dive right into a 43-foot fifth wheel. But when he said it wasn't that well received on my end. The kids were kids and okay,
So
we
you
can do
were
that. Why not?
But you were a no then.
She was a no.
I was a no, but my
Okay.
no's, he knows that my no's are always kind of I'm in shock.
No is
I'm
a spectrum
open
in my
to-
family and life.
I'm open to
Right.
discussions. I'm always open to discussion. I'm always open to learning more.
Okay.
Right now, I feel like I
But
wouldn't.
you
live
translated
in a
it
camper.
as it ain't happening.
So in business, and my father, I didn't translate it. My father always said, when they ask you how much, or they ask you details about the product or the idea, time to
not
start
a no.
closing the deal. You already sold them.
Okay.
Now it's just, so I always believe if you can get to 50%, then I'm leaning more on the side of yes. So if I can get over a 50% yes, this might be reality.
Okay.
But the reality in my mind was, okay, how are we going to do this? And Monica asked me, she said, we both have jobs. The kids go to school. And, what are we going to do for, we just leave our house? And so they were the three questions that I started to ponder in my head is okay, job, school, what do we do with the house? I was like, well, I just wanted to show you guys, just it's not camping, so maybe we should go to an RV show someday, and I'll show you what RVs look like today. And I said, just leave it at that. And so we said, let's go to the RV show, and we'll just look at it. What's the worst that can happen? You say, no, it's not for me. So that's kind of where I was, and it was still kind of not a joke, but it was still, I wasn't on that spectrum of yes yet, where I thought it was reality.
And on the way here, like as you're going to this show,
I thought it's a fun little weekend activity on a snowy day to just go check out some RVs with the kids and see what they're like, see what it feels like being inside.
Toronto RV show.
An RV, right?
You know what happens sometimes? I don't know if it happens with you two, but it happens whenever one person's got a thought, trying to really pitch it, right? The other receiving side sort of goes, I know what you're trying to do here. And because of that, there's a guard, right?
Mm-hmm.
Did you sense that at all? Like, did you feel guarded about it? Or were you just kind of like,
no,
the trust
I don't
level
think
is obviously
so.
quite high. So
yeah, I don't think I was guarded. I still wasn't sold that I would live in an RV.
Right.
But like I said, I'm always just like open to why not check it out? Why not feel what it feels to be in an RV before I say I would never do that? Like, I never said I would never do that, but I did question if he really knows the kind of person that I am. So I feel like, no, I don't think I was guarded. I was very open to what's next, and okay, let's see what is this all about?
When you're in a place where you understand just how frightening it can be, how challenging it can be, how lonely it can be, all of the things that you experienced when you were kind of wandering on your own in that phase that you were in. Mm-hmm. But now you have kids as well, right? And you're thinking to yourself, or were you thinking to yourself that, look, it's nice to think like this at a certain, season, in a certain season, but maybe like, we're being like, why rock this right now? This is really good, right? And so when you have something really good going, is there sort of like, well, what are you trying to fix?
No, that never crossed. That idea never crossed my mind, because I feel like we were always just so solid, like the four of us, that I didn't feel like anything would and could rock that. Okay. It could only enhance it. Whether it was a great experience or a really awful experience, I feel like it still could only make us better.
Mm-hmm. Fair.
Right?
Yeah.
And it was both of those things.
Okay.
There were awful parts of it and really great parts of it. Like, it's life.
Yeah.
It's life on wheels. So, yeah, I never thought that it would, like, oh, this is great. And I didn't think that way at all. How about you?
I will say, though, there's some timeline to play here, because it wasn't like I presented the idea.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We went to the RV show the next week,
Right.
and we were in an RV the next week.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I presented it pre-COVID.
Okay.
And planted the seed of the idea. Everybody's thinking about it, and shortly after COVID happened.
Okay.
So that was probably late 2018,
right,
going into 2019, because it was winter season when the RV show is. So it would have been the winter before COVID.
Okay.
I presented this as an idea. Then COVID happened, and when COVID happened, everybody started working from home.
Yeah.
Children started learning from home.
Right.
And the housing market started to plateau.
Okay.
So the three things that I saw as challenges originally just got wiped away. And so now I'm looking opportunity. You know what I mean? Not to take advantage of this and pull the wool over everybody's eyes.
Right.
But I had another story to tell now.
Right.
That,
Well, it started aligning a little bit.
Yeah, it's like you put it out there to the world, and look what happens. I'm not saying like COVID was a good thing or anything, but it was like when I spoke to you prior to in one of our conversations about 9/11 happening,
yes,
and that kind of being the reason I went to a cruise ship.
Yeah. Yeah.
Same idea. COVID happens, and then it's like life changed. It threw a curveball at you. So we could go with that, or we could say, you know what I mean? When life gives you lemons, let's make some lemonade.
I always say, if it wasn't for lemons, there would be no lemonade.
Exactly.
Right? Like, you know. But so now you got the family looking at the RV. They're coming in there, and obviously, you know, one of the great things that you did, I feel like it's like it wasn't like you weren't pitching hard either. It was just like, let's
2 years went by.
let's just check
go
it out.
feel it out.
Let's just check it out.
And 2 years went by.
And I don't think for you it was like, this is what we have to do. Like, he wasn't
No. Yeah.
pushy. Like, this was just an idea that
Wouldn't it be
we all
fun?
thought was outrageous.
Yeah. It's like, try this
or I
restaurant.
did
Would it be
anyway.
fun?
But it wasn't like we have to do this and like he's trying to convince us. It was more like, let's go through this investigating together of if this could be for us.
Fair enough.
And so we did
Yeah.
that. I feel like we did that together. Or am I wrong? Did you actually like
Yeah, I think that's pretty much
hook
it.
us all in?
I don't know.
I feel like-
there wasn't a grand plan or grand thing. It was just
Yeah.
like, this would be fun.
It kind
And
of just
then
it
why
kind of
not
just
try it? What's the
flowed,
worst that
like-
can happen? We come back and get a house and
The
do it
RV
again.
show made us realize, like, oh, these are actually tiny homes. Like, these are not your traditional
You're not roughing it.
little camper with like. Some of these tiny homes have everything you need. Okay, maybe it's not going to be as luxurious, but all the things that you have at home, you could technically have in your RV. Most of them.
Yeah.
And so that was that, and then with us working from home and having school from home, that just kind of lifted all
Showed
of
that
those.
we could do it.
And it also,
possible.
quite honestly, lit a fire inside of us
Again,
too.
here it is.
Here's I
There's
didn't
the-
even realize that theme was coming through.
It's-
But it was also the idea of being locked down and not being able to
Yes.
go where we wanted to go, and
Not be
it
free.
made us feel like we wanted this sense of we want to show
get
the
out.
kids more. We want to break free. We want to see places in North America with our children, and like not feel confined.
And there's so
'Cause that
much to see,
time- Yeah.
right? How
That
you gonna
time
get-
really made you feel like it really, for some people, it made them really scared to travel. But for us, it was the opposite. It was like, now we want to travel more. And now that the kids are like, you go through that stage when the kids are so little and maybe being at home feels more safe and comfortable. But as they're getting older, you're like, I could see myself exploring with them now and showing them some of the things that we love. to
Part of
see.
it was
So-
too, though, I think when it comes to the kids, it was, if you remember back to that, like the world was terrified, and many still are, you know what I mean? And so all that the kids were consuming, whether it was once they went back to school or on the news, and we were, watching what COVID was doing to the world. And we were, not to go down a rabbit hole here, but we were outsiders on The View back then. And so we were telling our kids, like, the world's not as big and scary as they're making it out to be. Like, this too will pass. You know what I mean? We'll get through this. And so part of it was, let's go out and show them that, going back to a conversation I had with you, was people are beautiful all over the place. Like we were saying, don't travel, don't go, stay away and keep your 6 feet and all that. And I was like, let's go show the kids what this world has to offer and the beautiful people that are around, and build some relationships.
Yeah.
And so that kind of put the fire under me.
Yeah. Okay. So you see, like, they're kind of different sources of fuel on this. And so you can draw fuel from different things.
places.
I was just going to say, like, like that absence makes the heart grow fonder. So, like, take it away, which is what happened, the ability to move. And now you're like, you really want to move now, right? So that's yours. And then here you are. You want to be able to just have your kids keep their minds open, and what better way to do it than to keep on exploring. And you'd both had experiences with that already in your past, and you feel like you would just, it's almost like having the kids actually gave you more motivation, not less motivation to do it.
Yeah.
So part of it is like, yeah, you're doing it for you, but now you're doing it not just for you.
But we also included them.
That's the thing.
That's the thing, is because when I remember when we had this decision, it was in January of 2021.
Right.
Or no, 2022 now. So January 2022, we had talked about this. We've gone to the RV show. COVID was starting to settle. Everything was going on, and we had a conversation in January, and we said, can we do this as a family? Do you think we can do it? And I said, if we are going to do it, I said, this is a process that we're going to have to do.
Yeah.
And it has some steps that we have to hit. And by February 1st, if we're going to do this is in January. By February 1st, we have to make the firm decision, because at that point, we need to get a dumpster in this yard, get rid of some of our old junk, start getting the house prepared to put on the market, and start preparing a house for the spring market so we can get best bang out of the buck, you know what I mean? And so that's what we said. And I said, so February 1st is a key kind of decision point. And we were having that conversation over dinner. And come February 1st, we still didn't have the dumpster in the yard. We didn't really talk much about it. And our, at the time, 13-year-old, like our son, said, Dad.
He was 12.
Yeah, he was 12 at the time. He was 13 the next month. He said, it's February 1st, so I guess that idea of traveling is like not happening. We didn't get the dumpster yet. And so we opened up the conversation. I said, you know what? And I pretty much got on the phone right there and called the dumpster. And then a couple of days later, the dumpster was in the yard, and we emptied out.
So your time passed, and it was your son that brought it up.
And the minute he said, let's do this, and I had their buy-in, and she was on board. She was over the 50% mark, so the sale was made. Start closing the deal.
I still had time to tell the school board. You know, it wasn't like the story that I told you a while back that you have to give them a certain amount of time, and I had some time to be
That
able
was
to
another
tell
part of
them
the process.
if I wanted a leave of absence.
But you really wanted to be this librarian teacher.
That was her dream.
And so you finally became this librarian teacher. And I heard the bittersweet of it, that you got to be that, but it was COVID. And so that bitter part of it was kind of maybe like, oh man, but you had put so much to get to that point. And I have family in the education field, and for teachers and the whole education system, there were so many challenges for you. But as you kind of like got through COVID, kind of like starts becoming like, okay, the return now back to school, did you not feel that now finally I can be that librarian that I've wanted to be, and that experience that I'm going to have, and that if I do this, I'm going to miss that? Did it occur to you?
You know, I did for, like I was able to do the job for a few years, and so I did get to experience a lot of, you know, the good aspects of that job.
Yeah.
But again, this became like a fire once the ideas and the conversations with the kids started, and and you take the first little steps. Then you start like visioning it in your mind of what this can be. And like, I mean, being in the school board for over 20 years had its ups and downs. And I did feel sad to go, but also I had that opportunity to take the leave of absence, and my job would have been saved for me for at least the first, like after that first year, I could have gone back.
Okay.
And our plan was only
to
1
that
year.
library job. So they would secure for the first year, they would secure that spot. And so knowing that, because I did love my job, knowing that was helpful, but also the opportunity to now learn with my kids from the world. Like, and the experiences that we had in our 20s of learning from exploring the world and learning from the people that we met. We understood the value of what travel gives to any human that has the opportunity to do that, right? And we just knew that was something we wanted for them and wanted to experience with them.
Yes.
Because there's a window of time that you can do this for a length of time with your children.
Right.
And when they start their own lives and their own families, it won't be the same type of adventuring together, let's say. So I felt like that outweighed what I was saying goodbye to, and also I didn't have to say goodbye right away because I wasn't ready to say goodbye.
Well, like you said, it was only a 6-month like a hiatus.
It was
for
like,
our
let's
RV
try this for a year.
I said, let's do it for a year.
We have to give it a full year.
Give it a year.
Because you're buying an RV and you're selling your house for one thing, but also you can't fully know what it feels like to live
That was
fully
part of
in
our
a different
rules
lifestyle
too,
like
though.
that if you don't give it a full chance, right?
So we didn't really live by this rule, but I said it out loud enough times that I started to believe it myself. That I told the kids and Monica, I said, we're doing this as a group, and we had conversation about, like, we all have to be on board with this. And if somebody gets out there and hates it, like, this is not for me, then we have to give it 3 months from that point
From
on.
that point on.
Because it could be a rainy week and they're indoors the whole week, or could be going through something personal, whatever, and you might change your mind next week or whatever.
Yeah.
But it also, 3 months seemed to me about enough time to find an apartment to rent or whatever I had to do to figure out what are the logistics of this.
Right.
You know what I mean? But also time for people to rethink. And I said, so if anybody doesn't like this, that's the rule, is you can throw in the towel, but you got to give it 3 months.
So you sell the house, you got your RV now, you're getting ready to
That was
go.
a whole nother,
Yeah.
that was an episode in itself,
Yeah.
that whole process, but we won't go down there.
Well, because I like, for anyone who's moved, right? There's a cleanup phase. You're detaching, you're decluttering, you're getting rid of stuff.
But
And
downsizing, usually people
been in
grow
that
up.
home for like
Yeah.
17 years.
Yeah.
Like
yeah, it had
16
the walls
years,
have
17
seen
years.
things, and there's memories, right? So these have become. As much as it's an emotional thing, it's a real thing, and again, the two of you have both had experiences on leaving something behind in your pasts, and in order to be able to, go get something else that's waiting out there in front of you that you could then always bring back. And in both of your stories, in your individual stories as well as now, you'd set it up so that if you did want to come back, there was a way back. Right, but when you sell this house that you've been living in for 17 years, right?
That's a whole nother game.
Right, and you're saying goodbye permanently to some of this stuff. You have to be, right?
Yeah.
There are days
That
where
was
you're like, "Is this
more
the
difficult for her, obviously, because of the way we
Yeah.
look at things. So you might want to explain how you said goodbye.
So
I
how's
said
that
goodbye,
fire?
goodbye.
How's that fire doing now while you're going through, this, and you still haven't gotten on the plane, so it doesn't have to take off yet, and you could say, yeah, you know what, man, this is really. Did you have that, or you must have? I don't know if you did or not.
I had a lot of emotions, like to say goodbye to that home and the memories, but you don't have to leave the memories there. So I really just, like, I knew this next phase was what we were supposed to do, and I was ready for this adventure with them. That it was so chaotic those last few months because our house was closing on the last day of school for me and the kids. Like, the house was closing on the same day, and like the RV didn't, like, we couldn't even get it. Our
Remember
truck was
trucks?
still
You
in
couldn't get trucks
Mexico.
back then.
Our RV had to be delivered
get
to
our
us.
truck.
There was nowhere to like put it because we live in a subdivision while we're trying to pack what we need to live. It was just the most chaotic thing.
It was chaos.
So there wasn't really any
Not
time.
what you expected in your plan.
That first while was absolute
There were
chaos, and there was
so
nights
many
when I
things.
wasn't with them. I'm like, what did I just do to my family?
But
Like, what am I
still-
doing here?
But
Right.
still,
But
it was like,
deep
no,
breath.
we're not going to give up
Yeah, it was.
because it's going to be fine. Like, you have to. No good things come without some chaos
Yeah,
and
sacrifice.
craziness. Like it. Like you just keep going.
Our
There's
truck
no
was in the
stopping.
factory in Mexico up until the middle of June, and we were supposed to have it in March. And so we didn't even know if we were going
That's
to have
right.
a truck to pull
Everything
our
was
home,
backed
our
up.
new home, because it's not just a regular truck. I have a 18,000 pound trailer, so I needed a big truck. So I have a big dually, you know what I mean? And so that's not something that you can find during COVID. You can't find that on a normal time, but during COVID. So that was a stress in itself, but it worked out. And there's
You talk about.
we're both grinning here
You
because
talk
there's so
about
much that
reading the signs, right? Both of you in your past, and did any of this seem to be a sign to you that you shouldn't be doing this? Look, it's not working, guys. It's chaotic. You're not supposed to do this. Was there a voice?
our friend's place, there was a little moment there that
Oh, but we were already in.
Yeah.
But I think he's speaking of like, those
Leading up
those
to it? Never.
moments leading up to like moving into the RV and all of that.
Like,
I feel like it was just so like
people read these moments as a sign. You seen that movie Fools Rush In?
I may have, but I don't
I
watch
can't
a lot
believe
of
it. You
movies.
haven't. So it's like, okay, so you got to watch it. Matthew Perry, Selma Hayek. You guys have to watch this. So the essence is like some see a moment as a sign of like, well, we got to get past this. Resilience, opportunity. Versus another one says, look, this is a sign you should not be doing this. It's a bad omen when this happens. Or, like, look, for crying out loud, your truck's not ready. The world's trying to tell you, don't go. Like.
I felt like all of those things were just pushing us more. Like,
that's amazing.
It was so strange because you would think it would.
You could find that every day in your life.
Agreed.
But when it's something that you feel like you're so invested in this now, this is what we're doing. This is just what we're doing. The kids never even faltered.
Yeah.
Like, so many things. And even in the first week that broke down, and with a brand new truck when we finally
Trailer
got it.
broke and the truck broke. First week.
The brand new truck, like, just parts breaking that just don't. And the kids never even went like, hey guys, maybe we shouldn't even be. They're just like,
so there was
okay,
no voice out there.
It just
saying
was
to
like,
you, this is not what you maybe.
It was almost like trial by fire. It felt like.
Sure.
It was like, if we can get through this and then this, and then there was more things thrown at it. It just felt like, if we can get through this together and work together, and somehow it's gonna be fine. It was so much learning those first few months because there was so much.
So give me an example of something. Okay,
but
like
it never was like that. No,
because you have the big picture, the idea. We're gonna go do this. It's gonna be great.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna grow. We're gonna learn together. We're gonna explore. This is great for my kids. The big things are there, right?
Mm-hmm.
The big rocks, as they say, to put them in the jar first.
Exactly.
Focus on that. So your big rocks are never moved. Those were very, very solid, very, very solid foundational rocks, right? As to your motive, and so, but as a result of focusing on these big things, the little things, we tend not to pay attention to, and then the little things obviously show up, and there's a lot of little things, right? So all of those small little things, they can add up, like.
Can I condense it into 1 week for you?
Yeah.
And this will be a nightmare for you to hear, but this is
okay.
crazy.
Let's hear about this.
I'll try
nightmare.
to give you the quick version of the first week.
Okay.
The brakes on the trailer don't work.
Right.
So I have to get a mechanic, which is 2.5 hours away, to come fix that. The day before we're moving. Okay. So we've got to be out of the house the next day. We're not taking much with us. We have a small little storage.
The house is closed and sold, right?
Yeah. The new owners are coming the next day, and we're still not packed. We're not very good planners, so like half of our stuff's not packed.
Not very good planners. Really?
You know what I mean? So the trailer's not working. So we have to wait for them to come out. And I think it might have been on a weekend, or it might have been a Friday or something like that, because there was something going on with the dealership. They send somebody out, thankfully, because they know what we're getting into. The couple days prior to that, the truck had just finally showed up, like 2 weeks before that, but the hitch, I need a special hitch for my RV because it's a fifth wheel, slides in the back of the truck. The wrong hitch a few days before. So that was a sign, if you're going to talk about signs. So that happened. We finally have the RV, and it's the day we're closing the house, and the new owners are showing up, driving by in the morning, and we have stuff all over the yard. The neighbors are all looking at us. We have a 43-foot RV plus the truck. It's 65 feet end to end on this little cul-de-sac kind of thing, and everybody's like, what's going on here? And we're loading stuff into this trailer because it's got to be out of the house.
Yeah, wow.
And everything that we're not taking, we're just laying in the grass, and I'm like, I'll get a truck, I'll haul it away. And we had given away so much stuff, like we were just dumping stuff to anybody who needed things, like people in the neighborhood who were new to the neighborhood, new to a home. We were giving them TVs and couches and everything, just unloading like the week before.
These are all like losses in some way. Carry on.
Carry on, but I don't look at them as losses. It's like we outgrew them. Until we have to replenish.
I was looking at Monica and I was saying that, like, but you didn't bought this stuff and you're giving it away, right?
But the kicker was, we decided the first week we were going up to Sable Beach, which is like 2.5, 3 hour drive. We were going to stay there for a week and then drive to the East Coast, where I'm originally from, and go park in my parents' yard, which is a big yard, and get used to living in an RV in their yard where it was comfortable. And we would still live in the RV, but we had the parents are there, and we had a cushion kind of thing. So that was the plan. So we get the brakes fixed on the trailer. We get in the truck, and it was July 1st weekend. Yeah, that's what it was. It was July 1st weekend, and we're going up to camp up north. And so it's bumper to bumper traffic on the 400, and my truck starts beeping, some weird noise. It's a brand new truck to me. I don't know what the beeping means. I get up, I back in with this big trailer, and smoke comes out of the engine. So the truck overheated, brand new truck. Trailer's still not fixed, temporary brake line. So when we leave there, we got to go get the real brake line. So that happens. And long story short, 2 or 3 other things happened. We drove our first 7 hours to the East Coast. We stopped at a friend's place, told her we were coming by. We had an incident that happened there that was crazy. We drive to Cape Breton. I've been living in Cape Breton my entire life. We're getting there late at night. You shouldn't be driving late at night with an RV anyway. But we're like, let's just push it. We'll get there, get to Dad's, and we'll just settle down, you know? We get there and it's fog on the mountain. So we didn't know about driving over the mountain with the RV and stuff. And so that was chaotic. We drive, we're half an hour from home. It's nighttime. She's in the passenger side. There's a truck driving towards us, and I'm sorry for the listeners that are listening, but the truck hits a black bear and throws the black bear over into our lane. And boom, boom, boom. And we keep driving. You don't get out because it's black bear. You don't want to get out with an injured black bear. We didn't know what happened. And so we get through that. So there is like a week of just one thing after another between the RV breaking down. That was a 3-day thing.
Every step of the way.
And the truck. And then the thing that happened in Perth was we had this incident where all the screens, because it was a new RV, they weren't put in properly. And we were laying in bed one night and there was hundreds of mosquitoes. Hundreds of them.
That was the night.
That was the night
Jimmy
she
giggles
broke
at
down.
because that was the mosquitoes almost broke me. Nothing else.
Not the ones in
But just,
India.
I couldn't
They didn't
sleep.
break you.
No,
But
I
these
couldn't.
ones.
She got through India because she had been through it with the RV, I guess. But anyway, so the long story short is it was a nightmare those first 2 weeks. And we could have easily threw in the towel at that point. But I just, I don't know if it's like the universe.
What is it?
I don't know if it's the universe or God or whatever, but I said, you know, you're testing us. And we just
God
got
would
through
say
this.
back, not that I know what, but it's like, you put yourself into this. No one's testing you.
This
And
was
I
your
would say,
choice.
we got through this. Can it get any worse?
Get any
You know what I mean?
worse.
And going back to our conversation, it's like, what's the worst that can happen? We made it this far. We got through the breakdown of the RV. We got through the truck. We got through the mosquitoes. We got through the black bear. And now we're in Cape Breton, and we're here for the next however long.
Right.
We have no schedule anymore. This is it. We made it through that. We're here. We can stay here 1 day, 1 week, 1 month. Stay here forever if we had to. My parents would have said, sure. You know what I mean?
It sounds like, you know what it sounds like? It sounds like like a storm, right? As the storm goes over, like you see the storm coming, you know, and then
We didn't see it coming.
well, you know, I'm sure you had to have sensed it because look,
The
your
forecast.
timelines, you had a kind of a plan, roughly, and you see your timeline is, you're not on your timeline, so that's the storm coming. And then the storm is now here, and like smoke and black bear and mosquitoes. Now you're in the storm, and usually when you're in the storm and it's all around you, you can't see the end yet, right? But it's like every other storm, like you told your kids, it'll pass.
It'll pass.
And
Life.
and so but it's that's I think the crazy part of these moments is that going from keeping the context that it's a storm, it sucks, but it's a storm, guys, it'll pass, and you know, on the other side of the storm, it's not all storm, there's something worth it, and you had been following people, so you know the upsides. So then it seems like your first clearing is like, you know, the clouds are kind of breaking a little bit and you can see
No, a storm came.
another storm, an actual
Literal storm.
Oh gosh.
Hurricane
The
5
hurricane.
coming up the East
Oh
Coast.
my gosh.
Barreling towards us.
Yeah.
And we were going to stay. And my father said, this is looking really bad. It's growing. Which one was it? One of the big hurricanes.
And Cape Bretoners don't say storms look really
We
bad.
never
They just
do
bear
that
down
back
on
because
it.
they're used to it.
They're used
But
to
my
it.
father said, you're in an RV. Maybe this is a sign to get moving. And so I was like, yeah, I think you're right. So we pack it all up and we get going and we head out.
But that's good. We had been there already a while, so it was.
But the storm came. We had left. And so where I live, my parents' place has the house, and then my sister lives next door in the house that I grew up in. My uncle lives next door there, and at the time I had a cousin living next door to my sister. So there's 4 of them there, and the RV's parked in the middle of all this. We leave because the hurricane is coming. My sister's roof ends up in my uncle's yard.
Yeah, wow.
Tree comes through my cousin's bedroom window.
Wow.
So it was a bad storm.
Yeah.
Glad we moved.
Yeah.
Glad nobody got hurt. We got
Right.
through all that. But I think a turning point in that of where, okay, there is sunshine at the end of this, was when we left there and we went to Quebec City. And we're in Quebec City, and if you've ever been to Quebec City, the big hotel there, and it's all the cobblestone
Yes,
road and everything.
yes.
And we were walking down that road
Right.
with our kids. In front of, there's the church there,
Yes.
the little, piazza, I call it,
Yes.
but it's not
In the
piazza
old-
in French.
yeah, old Quebec.
Old Quebec there.
Yeah.
So we're sitting there, and her and I have a little connect the dots going backwards. Was when we were working on the cruise ship, we were in Quebec City with the cruise ship before we were dating. It was our first date, basically, in Quebec City.
Wow.
And we were on this date, and a hurricane came through. It was Hurricane Juan. Hurricane Juan, I think it was. Came through, and the cruise ship had to stay overnight, an extra night, because we couldn't go down the St. Lawrence. And so we got extra time in Quebec City, and it was a beautiful night. And, look, the rest is history. We're married now, you know what I mean? So it was the start of something good. But now here we are with our kids, experiencing it with our kids.
Wow.
And it was like full
like a
circle.
restart,
It
yeah.
was like, oh my goodness. And it was like this moment, we're going to see moments like this when we're traveling. Traveling brings moments like this. So that was interesting to me. I don't know if you recall the same thing as that.
Oh, absolutely. I
but-
remember taking the photo of them together, Matthew and Mia, on these cobblestone streets. And that was the moment of, like, when I clicked the photo, I think
Of me
she
holding
was
you, I think.
piggybacking on Matthew's back, and I clicked the photo, and I saw this, and I remembered the photo we have in the same square, and he's picking me up, just like Matthew was, and it just clicked, like, and it was to the day, like it was to the week. That was the crazy thing.
Amazing.
It was
Yeah.
to the exact week that
19
we were.
years, I think it was.
We were
It
in
might have been.
that.
It was 19 years to the week, and the storm is what caused that. So chaos in the
One
storm, but
hurricane
if you can
brought
find the
us-
beauty in the storm,
Yeah.
you know.
So
Wow.
that is really, really cool, guys. I want to just go back for a second as you were prepping to leave. So the house is something you're detaching from, but you're also leaving behind other parts of like your life, like your friends, family sometimes, and work, colleagues. So like when that part starts, it's not only you leaving them, they're also they feel like
Yeah.
losing you too, right? Now come on, like we have phones, you can FaceTime, whatever
Not the
it's
same
called.
though.
And you come through the town all the time anyway, right? So here you are, right? You can do your catch up. But was this that had to be something you had to look at and reconcile? Let's not call it loss. You got to reconcile it in your head somehow.
Yeah.
How did you reconcile that? How did you reconcile that? So that you're okay to go forward.
I think it was maybe our past experiences on the ships, and knowing that, I don't know, the true friends that you have when you leave and come back, you can pick up where you left off. And sometimes with some friendships you don't, or you can't, because you do grow apart over time. But that's just life, I think. And I think knowing that we experience that on ships, like kind of coming back home and going back for a long length of time, 6 months at a time, and then coming back home, like we've gone through those experiences, and we knew there would be losses.
Okay.
But that, I think the friendships that were meant to stay would stay, and they did. And there were some of our friends that drifted apart, but there were friends of ours that we drifted apart during COVID times and other times of our lives where life changes, and life changes you. So I think we knew that was going to happen, but that was just part of it, and we knew it wouldn't be easy. Because I think of a lot of people that I'm not as close to now, or colleagues that I miss, but it's really hard when you come back for a length of time and, to catch up with family and try to connect with all of the friends, and like everybody's lives have moved forward or not moved forward, but it's so much changes happen, and you just kind of It's just part of life.
See,
And I think whether you leave or not, that those things happen anyway too.
I think with some people, there's this sense of looking forward to something, sure. But with sometimes what we experience is a sense of guilt of something that's being left behind, or that's being not lost, but there's a sense of guilt, and those senses can be definitely obstacles. And sometimes we don't get past those obstacles, and we're like, you still carry the guilt. So when there is that, I think for people who might be considering any kind of a change, I mean, what this is really change, essentially. And the steps are exactly the same. The process is the same. Yep. So you're just using the same process. This is what it is.
Exactly.
It's just another form. But when you're walking through it, someone's gonna say, yeah, like, okay, I'm changing from this type of phone to that type of phone. There are degrees of which, like, there is change. This is big change, so it's even more amplified, the guilt or whatever it is. So it's for me to understand, how do you reconcile these things in your mind, because they take place, I imagine, right at the onset, at the very beginnings. As you go forward, look, you got that picture, and then you got all of these other things that happen, and then you start building the, like, okay, so, like, look at what you're getting, right? So this side of the equation starts, like, materializing, right? And then there's growth, and look at all the wins. Well, I'm talking about back then, before these future dots were to be laid or to be found. There was none of this stuff, right?
I think for Monica would have been a whole lot harder than for me.
Yeah.
I have great friends here in Ontario, love them.
Yeah.
Her family's great.
Yeah.
Yes, we're leaving that behind, but I had already left that part of my life behind in Cape Breton.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. For you is.
And there's an expression back home: you can take the boy out of the bay, but you can't take the bay out of the boy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So when I go home, I still have the same friends as I had growing up.
Right.
Not as many, you know what I mean?
Sure.
But I go home, I still see the same guys.
Yeah.
I love them like brothers. We're doing different things, you know what I mean? And I knew that would happen here too, is that you'll come home.
Yeah.
And the ones that are close, like she was baking with one of her friends for 20 years yesterday, like her and my daughter were baking there. That friendship is not changing, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I knew those core ones would stick. But for somebody that hasn't left home, like, because that's leaving home, you know what I mean? When she left home on the cruise ship, it was temporary, but still similar. You leave home, you come home, and everybody has kind of moved a little, moved on with their life. So I empathize more with what she had to go through, where I didn't feel as much of that, I don't think.
Right.
And not to say that my friendships aren't great, but I was looking too, I'm going to meet a lot of great people, and I'm going to have more, and now we have friends all over two beautiful countries.
Right.
You know what I mean? From coast to coast in both countries, there's amazing people that we have friendships with now.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. It's the whole journey is amazing, right? And every single part of it in its own context is also amazing. So, like, they say, don't be sad that it's over, be happy that it happened. So you still have that. It's not like that's lost. That's there. That never changes. So, but still, it needs to be reconciled before you move forward, and you have to have reconciled it in your mind. So I was just curious how you did it. Now, when you guys first started, you went. You said you were planning it for 6 months. 6 months to say
1
a
year.
year. A
1 year,
party.
yeah.
Okay, but now you went. It ended up on year 3 now. Is where you're at.
Yep.
So okay, so like a year goes by, right? You have that first week. There are wins. You start exploring.
Actually, about 9 months is when we had to start thinking about that.
Right.
Because of her position was
With
held
school.
for a year.
Right. So what were the conversations like then at month 9? Oh, okay, this was great. Were you thinking of it in terms of, is this better, or were you not? Like, how were you thinking about it at month 9 in order to start deciding?
I will just say that
wow.
because we had said it was going to be a year, we knew that there was a cutoff for her job to get her job back, because we had taken a leave, like, basically.
Right.
And we had, that point, been through 21 states, and we were coming up on the West Coast. It was April. We were coming into British Columbia from Washington State.
Right.
So we're going up into British Columbia, and that's about the point where we were getting close to her cutoff. And so we had a conversation as a family, and nobody had cashed in their 3-month chit the whole time. You know, everybody was still enjoying it. My son fell in love with fishing, which he never did before this trip. And like, hardcore, like hook, line, and sinker, like, you know, but he is a big avid fisherman now. He was loving that. My daughter had met a bunch of new friends. I think she had started her business or close to starting her business at that point. And so we were in and we said, okay, listen, where do we want to settle when we come home, or do we want to settle? And we had that conversation. And I think you might want to carry on, and how that goes with her work was then she had to come up with the decision of, do I take another year leave?
Okay.
And maybe you can carry on how that process.
How are you evaluating Monica, like at 9 months? What were you seeing as like the gains, and then the things that you kind of were measuring?
Yeah. So I feel like once you're a teacher, you're always a teacher. And it was very difficult. I think deep down inside, I may have known that it's just the time of my life to move away from the profession, perhaps, so to speak. But I couldn't, like, I still was like so tied to this job as my identity that I felt like I couldn't resign, and I felt like I still needed to have that safety net, and I still was unsure. Like, I felt almost as though I thought maybe on the journey, like maybe we'd find a place and this is the place we would want to settle down, or does this feel better than where we lived before? And we didn't find that. We found a lot of great places, and I think it still was just because so much happened in that first year, and there was such a fast-moving pace of our travels. There wasn't really time to say like, oh, could I go back? Like, it just felt like it was just the beginning, even though maybe it was 9 or 10 months into it. But it still felt so new. So at that point, I just decided I was going to take request another year leave of absence. So it really wasn't until after that year that I resigned from my permanent teaching position, when I was like, okay, now I know it's just time for me. That season is done. So
that was after year 2, though.
That's So what I'm wondering about is that in that year 1, in month 9, what were the things that you looked at and said, okay, this is something that, yeah, let's keep trying this, right?
Yeah, I felt like the kids were happy to travel and still continue to see new places. I feel like in that first year, we moved so quickly, and we kind of felt like, let's keep going, but maybe just
slow
not
it
as
down.
quickly. Like, so those were the takeaways from the first year. And I felt like RV life is something that we're getting used to, we can continue doing, but maybe just slow down. I feel like in that first year, we wanted to see so many things because we didn't know what the timeline was.
Right.
We didn't know how long we would do it. So we're like, oh, we need to get here, and love to see Arizona, and let's try to get to California. And
And everybody in the RV life told us to slow down. They told us that was going to happen.
Well, because
That we were gonna
you're
get
excited
tired
at
out
first,
and-
right? And
yeah.
you want to see more. Sure. So, and then, like anything else, then you start getting sort of like into I don't want to use the word routine, but you start figuring it out, and you realize pace plays a role.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And plus, you get more time to kind of really enjoy
Learn the game,
it.
too.
Yeah. Right.
You learn. The first year was learning.
Learning.
It was just like we were sponges, and things are breaking when you're
And yet you're
traveling
enjoying
with your
it.
house.
Yeah.
Somebody told me this: when you're traveling with an RV at 100 kilometers an hour, 110 kilometers an hour, that's like a hurricane force wind on your house all the time. And the turbulence, if you put a Richter scale inside a fifth wheel, that's our length, it's like a 5.5 earthquake.
Wow.
So your house is always breaking down.
Oh. Wow.
Like every time we open the door after a long run, we're like, what's going to be on the floor? Like what shelves are broken and everything else. So that first year, just learning and dealing with that part of it,
Right.
that you don't see, it's not Instagram worthy, that the breakdowns and the bike rack falling off of the back of the bike, off the back of the rig with 4 bikes on it that we had just bought and stuff like that. But you learn and you take your wounds and you take your battle scars, and then once you get through that first year, it's like, we're pretty good at this.
This is for us.
Yeah, we're pretty good at this. We can do this. Let's just slow it down and enjoy the places that we go to a little more. And so we started going 1 month at a place, and 1 month at a place, and places that we liked even. We went back to some of the same places.
Right.
And so it was, that was a big thing too, is you learn so much.
So what's amazing is that and I noticed this about a pattern with the two of you in everything that you've done, is that you start out with like a really, let's just call it an easy target. You know, they call it about setting SMART goals, right? So it's achievable, 6 months. And then at month 9, you evaluate and you say, hey, no, we were just still learning. It gets better. And so, you know, in everything that you've done, there's a vision, right? It gets worse, then it gets better. I keep seeing that as a pattern.
It is a pattern, but it's life.
A motivator, though.
It's like, don't get too high on the highs, don't get too low on the lows, because they're going to change places.
Yeah.
Like, no matter what you do in your life,
100%.
You're riding a high, things are going good. Don't get too comfortable, because we know right around the corner is.
Yeah.
But when you're down there, don't let it get you too down, because you're going to go back up.
So I agree with that. I just feel that usually when you're doing at the beginning, you feel the downs right away. They come in, like you see, like that first week and that first year. So you know when you go through that, and then when it turns, now you're on the high. But you never know what that high is, because you're always moving up, right? And then you're like, it's only going to get better from here, because it just says that to you. And then there's that the high, something changes at that point in time.
Yeah, you don't realize you're at the high.
You'd never realize.
Usually.
Nobody
until
ever does.
the high doesn't become the high anymore, and you realize, I was at the high.
Yeah.
But I think, I don't know.
It's really how you react in those moments, right? Life is always going to throw things at you.
Yeah.
Whether
and there's
you're
what
in
I
an
call a
RV
lag, right? It's a lag between the time you're like, things just got worse. But I thought we were past all this stuff.
Yeah.
And then there comes the doubt, the second guess, all that other stuff. And so you experienced that as well in the 3 years. So you got the low, you got the high, you came back down. What point in time, I mean, you don't sound like you're going to stop doing this anytime soon. Yeah, you just looked at each other with that look.
We've been kicking
like
some
we
ideas
haven't had
around.
that
We got
conversation.
some other ideas in our head now.
Exciting ideas, but we're in that spot where anything is possible, and we're just unsure of which way to go, you know?
Yeah, time.
Is that because you're here
between.
back in Toronto that you're thinking this, or was this part of your plan to be here in year 3?
Well,
there was no
we
plan.
we usually are home in the summertime. Like, we're usually in this area in the summertime.
Got it.
You know, catching up with family and friends and trying to catch up with life.
That's wild for us, though, because it is definitely a different lifestyle doing what we do. And when we come back here, like, I don't want to sound like a complainer, because I'm not complaining about, I'm blessed to have the life that I have. But it's hard to manage that life and the life at home, where people are in their regular routines of the 9 to 5. They're doing the regular thing, and then we have to kind of fit into that routine.
Yeah.
Although we don't live that routine. Like, we're watching how many amps we're using in our RV, because the air conditioning doesn't work, and we have a dog, and so we got to have the cameras watching the temperature, doing that. So when you go out to visit, you're looking at your phone to make sure the dog's okay. You know, all this different stuff.
Yes.
Plus, we're down, and this sounds like, you know, like Crimea River, we only have one vehicle, but we were used to living with 2 vehicles.
Sure.
So I still have to go to conferences, I still have to go to meetings and all that stuff that when I'm away, I don't really have to.
Right.
So you don't need that second vehicle to get you from the woods into town.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there is a part of being home that's great. We love seeing the family. We love seeing our friends. I love going, like, we have a big in-person meeting tomorrow, the company and stuff. I love all that. But it's also juggling that with life.
Yeah.
So when we come home, it just seems busy to us, and it's so quick that we settle back into that. We call it the race. But you're doing it in a 300 square foot home that's not really a home, and you're still in that race. So we feel like we're in that, and it's like, oh, what are we doing? Let's go travel. So we're like itching to get going somewhere.
Kind of like, I think we said this before, like with your feet in kind of both worlds in a sense, because you're, you know, trying to keep up with everything here, and like you said, you have the one vehicle. Like you're living an RV life, but not. But
Yeah.
not. But
Life
trying
is
to
busy
get back
when
into
you're
your
settled.
normal life.
Yeah.
So it's kind
It's
of
funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
So-
our kids' swimming lessons, they have piano lessons. They have all this thing that they did that virtually. Like they did their piano lessons virtually. They did their schooling virtually. But now they're in-person piano.
Sure.
They're doing in-person swimming lessons. So you got to take them to those
Yeah.
things, which
Yeah.
is great.
Right.
But we're not used to that anymore
it's
because
Yeah,
you know.
it's
It's logistical,
different
kind of like a
pace.
challenge. Okay, take me.
Different
I
pace.
have one, and we'll start wrapping, but for today anyway. But I have you mentioned a moment that I would love to really hear more about, and you talked about how one day you came to a fork in the road, and you were trying to decide whether to go left or right. Do you remember?
Yeah, I do remember. Yeah,
Okay.
it's in
So walk me through that, because there you are. You're planning. In this, you were planning very differently than when you were planning to go to Hong Kong.
we jokingly always say we're the no plan family.
With the no plan family.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good handle, right? So, but you get to this fork in the road, and this is like 2024, 23. Like this is this day and age, and you just left it up to a
Coin toss.
a
almost?
coin toss.
Pretty
Did I
much.
recall that correctly?
Pretty much. I'm talking about Margaritaville.
Of course, it's called Margaritaville.
Yeah, it's in Florida. It's in the center of Florida, and we were there. And when you're in Florida in the winter months in an RV world, like most of the United States, you can find a place. There's lots of RV parks. A lot of people RV.
Yes.
Where here, there's not as many because of
Sure.
the seasonality. So we didn't book a lot of places in Florida, but we didn't know you had to book a lot of places in Florida because so many people travel there from all over the country, and a lot of Canadian snowbirds. Everybody goes to Florida
Right.
in the winter. And we didn't realize that when we hit the road. And so this was like the time I'm referring to was year one. And we were there, and we didn't really have a place to go. So we ended up staying there. Like we literally stayed there for an extra few days, and then at the end of those, I think it was 3 extra days, we stayed there, and we stopped in the parking lot before you pull out, and got the GPS out, and we're like, well, where are we going? Like we don't have anywhere to go right now, and we don't have anything booked. Everything's booked up.
I feel like we probably would have left Florida earlier, but I was kind of like,
Everybody kept telling us,
wanna
"Oh, it's
stay a
cold."
little bit longer.
Everybody kept saying it's cold over on the west side.
It's
Like,
nice to be able
oh,
to
that's
do that, though.
right. Yes, and we are flying by the seat of our pants. a
We
lot
were
for
gonna
that
leave
reason,
at the
but
beginning of
there was an
February.
ice storm on the path we were going to take.
and everybody
so we
said,
ended
"Don't
up
go.
staying
It's too
longer.
cold in Texas. It's too cold in Mississippi and Louisiana and all these places. Like, don't go there yet. You're too early." So we're like, "But we're Canadian. We're used to the cold and everything." But when you're traveling and it's something like pipes freeze and stuff in the RV, like we've had that happen, you know. So it's like we didn't know where to go. So we said, "Are we going to stay here a lot longer?" And so there's a membership that we ended up buying. It was a Thousand Trails membership, which is a thing. Basically, you buy a membership in this RV community, and a lot of RV parks have spots reserved for that membership. So we were able to, like, right there in the parking lot, we were like, we didn't know if we were going left or right. We called to see if there was a park available that wasn't too far away. There was through this membership, so we bought the membership so we could go to that park and
Got
have
it.
somewhere to park. And so we pulled out left, and we went to that place, and we stayed there for a couple of weeks. And then from there, we made some bookings, and we stayed. I think we went over to Tampa at one point. We went back towards that,
Right.
and then that was it. But those kind of things happened, and some people, like in this RV community, they never ever want to do that. They have things planned out 6-7 months in advance. We didn't, and part of the reason we didn't is some of the gems and some of the beauties, and this goes to the whole idea of how we live our life, is some of those unknown things is when the beauty happens. And so I'll give you an example of that, of where it paid off. That time we just got lucky. We got a place and we had somewhere to stay. Worst comes to worst, we would have pulled into a Walmart parking lot and stayed for the night until we found. We've done that too, where we had to pull into a restaurant or somewhere and just park, and because we have nowhere to go. Or we're on the way somewhere that's,
Sure.
you know. But skip ahead to, we're in Big Bend, Texas, a few months later. We're on the Rio Grande. So Mexico is there, United States is here, and we're like literally skipping rocks across to another country, across this river, and we're walking in the river, and like that's Mexico and everything, and we meet someone there. And they said, "Where are you going next?" And we said, "We don't really have a plan. We don't know where we're going." And they said, "Would you have an idea what state you're going to?" And we said, "We're heading for Arizona."
Okay.
And so I said, why do you ask? And they said, because if you're going that way, you're going to go through New Mexico, and you have to go to White Sands, New Mexico, and you have to go to the Carlsbad Caverns. They're two places I had never heard of.
Right.
Ended up being two of the best places I've ever been in my life. Kids loved White Sands. I loved Carlsbad, but it was the uncertainty and the idea of going and just let's see what happens. Sometimes really good things happen. So we could say it could be real bad because we didn't plan, but sometimes real good things happen.
Well, I think the common theme is that you allow it to happen by having. It's not saying don't have a plan to the no plan family, but it's that I don't think it's that like you're a no plan. I think you have your plan. I think your plan is to allow.
Yeah. I think so, maybe.
I think that's what I see in you, and I see that's so amazing about the both of you, that there's everybody else's ideas, and you're like, well, what's the idea? Let's see what the idea looks like and sounds like, and you allow it to speak to you. You allow it to present itself. By getting caught up in, too much of a structure. And I can be I know I can be a real structured person, routines, like, come on, like, like all of that stuff. But what I love about how you do it is that you allow it to unfold. And that's a plan.
I don't think I'm going to push back on this, because I think what I've realized, and I don't know if she's realized it, but it's not your plan.
Yeah.
We're so small. The universe is going to it has its plan.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Things are going to happen.
Yeah.
The world is going to work the way the world works.
Right.
So make the best of what you're in, because you can't control the plan. And
Right.
that circle of, control, of, what you can control.
Right.
Work hard, do the best of what you can control. Have dreams on that second ring. Don't worry about the noise on that outer ring, because that's out of your control. And the world will do the rest.
That's what I'm trying to say. That's a plan.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah,
you know what I mean?
I guess
that is a type of plan.
Yeah.
And I think it's a beautiful plan, actually, to say, it's not to say you don't have a plan. It's to say that there is
trust the plan.
Trust, that's the word, I guess, is the word. And so, it doesn't come without uncertainty, and it doesn't come without fears, and it doesn't come without pains, right? But at the end of the day, something you said previously really resonates at this point, is like, that stuff happens also when you have a plan, right? So, well, what's the difference then? And here, there's still there's something to be said about like when you wake up and you don't know what the next day is going to look like or the next month's going to look like. There's something to look forward to. I feel like that's also something that you really get out of this. Not knowing breeds excitement about something. And so even when I listen to the two of you talk about what you've experienced, or even what you don't know is going to happen next, you both have this sort of like, yeah, it's going to be cool. And you have this distrust for it. So I get a lot out of that. And I think for a lot of people, how it really ties, even though that's not necessarily how they might choose to make their decision every time, I think what they get out of this is, and what I get out of it is, that, along the line of doing things this way, you didn't start like this. You were already somewhere. You talked about it's a home, but it's not a home. See, there it is. But it's your life, and that's how it is right now, and you're enjoying it. And isn't that what it's all about?
Yes, and I will say one other thing, because I've spoken to you on a number of occasions right now. The only way that I can be the crazy person that I am and give that a shot is because I have a wonderful wife beside me who allows me to be the one with the crazy ideas and supportive in those crazy ideas. And that's reciprocated, I think, very much so, because that's the other thing is when you do something, going back to our conversation, is if it all fell apart, what really matters?
Yes.
In all of this, it's glamorous and it looks shiny and what a lifestyle, traveling and everything. But if it all went away, what's really important that we're going to walk out of here holding hands, and our kids are waiting for us to come home, and they're happy, and knock on wood, we have our health, and we have each other, and everything else is a bonus. And I truly live my life knowing that. So when I wake up in the morning, I'm like, another
You're a
day.
rich guy.
Yeah, I hit the jackpot this morning. I'm
Yes.
awake. I have a good family, lovely wife, lovely kids.
Yeah.
And what else can I ask for? You know?
There
So,
isn't
anything
I think
else.
that's amazing.
Hmm. And I think you would have tested the same thing. Like, I hope. She's still sticking beside me here. So.
So like you're waiting for her to say something. Yeah, I agree with you.
Speak
Yeah,
for
I have the same
yourself
thing. But it's that's the point, isn't it? That like you had this. You, Monica, had a start where it was like, hey, here's, I don't want to say traditional, like a way of going things, right? Like a way of doing things. And you have dared, right? To let life like be other than what some other plan would look like. Mm-hmm. And in that, all of your discoveries are tied to it. All of these new crazy things that happened, great things that have happened, from ending up in whether it was Quebec City to all the way to this place in India, which you never thought of because you met him at a place while you were RVing, right? All of that unfolded, which would have never happened, right? Can you imagine that not happening? You're not having all of this today now, right? And a little bit of timidity, a little bit of doubt could have stopped it all. Mm-hmm. What do you say to somebody, right, who's sitting there at the edge of it, right, and as a couple or as an individual, and they're like, yeah, but what if, I have so much going for me right now. How do you, like, I call it reconciling. How do you reconcile that? You say take the next step, but you have to reconcile something before you take that next step. What do you say to that person to reconcile and take that next step? Because your steps are definitely more challenging.
Wow. It's hard for me to explain without sounding so cliche, but this is like there's no dress rehearsal. This is it. This is life. And I don't know. I guess I've seen so many people that are in a profession like teaching, let's say, and they stay because it's the right thing to do, because I'm committed to my students, but like with anything in life, if you need to stay for the right reasons. And some people are meant to stay in that kind of career for their whole life.
Right.
But like, if your heart is somewhere else, or you're feeling something else, or you want to try something different, letting that opportunity pass is, you just never know what's on the other side of it unless you try. And you might fail, and it might all come crashing down, and maybe we might have stopped RVing after a year, and that would have been okay too, as long as that was what was our time to do and we really truly felt that. And I think as long as you are kind of honest with yourselves and trust yourselves, and you just, I don't know, take one day at a time. It's not all gonna it's not all gonna be perfect, and it's not all gonna make sense all of the time. But if you truly listen, I feel like you're on your path. You're on the right track. If you truly listen to what is your calling, whether that's keep doing something, or this time for this is expired, this doesn't feel right anymore. But just to know that, like, every choice that we make leads us to the next thing, and things can open up when you choose to
Beautiful
change
world
that
out
direction.
there if you give it a shot.
You know what? That's what you guys, and it is possible. You're doing it. That's what I think is so amazing. So thank you for the two of you. And again, there's more. There's so much more. So many of these little instances are an episode in themselves. But this, as the share of going from a life, you called it with the picket fence, to this life where you got a hurricane force coming at your home every minute that you're on the road, and it's worth it. Would you do it again? Would you do it again?
There will be another.
Yeah, we will do it again.
There
Like
will
with something
be
else.
another
Yeah.
season of
Yeah.
something. Like
Yeah.
We're cooking up some crazy ideas right in our head.
If you
right
went
now,
back to
so-
the start and said you'd have to go through all this and you would be here, would you do it? You know?
Me without question.
Yeah.
Because,
Absolutely.
like I said before, there
Absolutely.
is not two choices.
Yes.
You know, there wasn't a second choice back
Yeah.
then.
Right.
We made the choice.
Yeah.
That was the choice we lived with. We can't look back to say, what if we didn't do it?
Right.
Because we might have stayed home and we might have been in the race that we call the race, and we just might not have liked that. And we might have got on our nerves, or
Who knows?
the kids could have got mixed up with the wrong people,
Right.
or anything could have happened. It all could have been great too.
Yes.
And we wouldn't know.
Right.
So why even compare it?
I love how you look at it, that there was only one choice.
Yeah.
Thanks again, you guys. This was
It was amazing.
this was a real honor.
I enjoy
It was a
speaking to
real
you.
honor.
Thank you.
Thank
and
you
it's
so
a pleasure to
much
be
for
here.
having
It was a
Yes.
pleasure.